Flyamanita. Hello, and how do you do? I hope it goes fine, in a such fine meaning as fine as actually fine. Fine is good too. Sometimes it is better than great or awesome. Being fine is more attainable than regular maintenance of being great or awesome. And that's the great charm of being fine, because it costs less than other people nudge for greatness to keep up. So how should I share my vision of mine, hoping not to make you plight? So clench your tight, and we will see if it will be fine. After me, meet again, even if it is faint. Don't want to discourage you, but sometimes I kind of feel that my ideas which I see don't really make sense to other people to see, nor immerse into them. And if they do, I really hope that they will be okay, even afterwards. Things which I think to reveal here are little more hypothetical, heavy-weighted for some. So you are kind of warned if other previous videos of mine kind of did ruffled your feathers. On side note, I recently noticed some K-pop Demon Hunter related animation memes on media. And they did look quite entertaining and cute, especially when they did much those foodies like little hamsters. They look so cute by their facial expressions and hamster-like goofy faces. It was a little sad to realize what could happen in real life if they continued like that in their late 20s and continued over early to late 30s. I did mention somewhere before about human metabolism that it kind of starts to sleep on at those ages. In short, slower metabolism by age. Less burned calories from larger amount of food, that in result they just would look more saggy and bloated as alike. Treadmill could help, and different diet, and more calorie burning tools or techniques. But that's for another time. Before we can start with my story, which is not quite story, but more like observation this time, I will remind you that this story is only mine perception and not in any way professional advice or something. You can skim it through, but you already knew if you had watched some of other videos of mine. Please stay safe and be okay, not because of our pleas, but because of our glees. Have you ever thought that you were not enough, never enough to do anything noticeable in society, or just barely simple stuff? If not, congratulations that you did not even need that kind of feeling to experience. And you kind of were just self-accepting yourself from the start, so to speak. But this congratulations seems a little overestimated or quite not meaningful, because everybody as human being growing up as a part of current global society have at least one time felt unfulfilling in smaller or larger manner. But that's fine, and it's only natural and part of growing up, so to speak. I never liked that kind of approach to those causes which created feeling of being unfulfilling to societal standards. But here we are, and I am talking like that because it is kind of part of nature of growing up. Be it likable or not, depending of one's mind's and emotional fortitude. This idea of unfulfillment, that people feel sad, that they are not wanted, and that they were likely mistakes of any kind, stems from their parental, so to speak, abuse, that their parents have had always blamed them for some things or anything else where it is possible. Their children, now grown-up adults young or old, had to take on blame from them by many forms as affirmations that they deserve being treated that way as they were, and were okay to be that way, to feel as less human in disguise, as happy family, because family cares for each other. If they actually would care, they would help to improve, but reality is how it is, and that it is not so simple. And now looking from sidelines, it could look like that person, which seems to believe to be as mistake in any kind of form for parents, is not actually responsible about that. How it could be possible that you are not mistake, while they were rambling all about that, huh? It appears that parents themselves made a mistake to create living being. No worries, you are no mistake by any means, but mistake was an action from parental side. Mistake for them is that, creating living organism, now they are forced by society norms to share living space, which includes time and money too, and other resources, and they, parents, own frustration, puts out as an innocent jokes and multiple reminders or something. That children should be proud to be their kids, should be thankful that were born, or reminded that they were mistake to bear, or something between lines that they should be forever indebted to them, parents. Now, I didn't finish yet. Children, and now already, or just to be grown-up adults, are in no way responsible about their own parent deed or misdeed to bear a children, a living form in next living room, which can't already get out of house, even when they are already new adults in 20 to 30 and seem to never leave, to live on their own place. Not saying that everybody are like that, but main picture, where usually parents are not very welcoming with grown adults in their living spaces at some ages. Sometimes they are not patient to wait out, even when their teens will get married and get out of their hair, where I was. Yes, parents are responsible about bringing child in this world. Doesn't matter the reason. You as a being are here, and nothing is gonna change that part of reality. They are very frustrated about their own past misdeed, that they, about their mistake, were and probably still are reminding in various ways that you as a person were mistake. For this video we will be ignoring loving families, because their usually parents are close to genuine happiness, that they have children and they grow up how they grow up, but still are welcomed as part of family. Where I am getting with this, their attitude about you as a mistake or unfinished product is only their disappointment about themselves, not you, but themselves, and they are just projecting it as that you as a person were guilty about something. Your own worth is not in any way related to their decision making when they were baking you in their own oven when it was steaming hot. Your own worth is not in any way related that your values differ from theirs, that you are not their miniature version of themselves, because you are being with your own personality, and it should be like that. Yes, there are genetic similarities or behavioral patterns, but they don't really define you as a person to feel any way guilty or judged by parents who are not happy with their own baby making and upbringing decision, because they, when we're doing romantic intercourse, they only were some teens who were freshly counted as an adults. They could not grasp situation that baby making in oven is actually big thing, like some business idea, which requires large amounts of resources to develop that, and this business is quite risky, because no matter how much resources they could give, there is no guarantee about desired outcome by their own terms or societal ones or different ones. It was a big deal to do, and they just went by, hi, I am drunk. Let's reciprocate together with intercourse and make my mother or father proud, or uke, those cranky dastards which are leaning towards to their grave cant, tell me to whom I can elope and funge around. Not feeling is not living, or some other kind of expression like, you're so hot. Let's mingle, or just let's do it. Are you afraid of girl? Or, my parents really want some grandchildren, so they are eager about my spouse, or woohoo, no brass, let's party. We are young and dumb, so gotta it go while night is early, or other, some kind of exaggerated quote, which only paints some figurative mood, not actual literal meaning for actions, and with no reasoning to what they were getting themselves into. I could mention about that. It was one of desired breeding programs by governmental structures from sidelines. But that's just some sort of scapegoating when nobody gets anything, because population management was, and probably is still necessary. So those teeny weenies were good cause for nation to grow. But it's not a point in this story or rambling. I am not sure anymore. Main thing is that you or anybody else, which have some kind of parental approval issue, that in any way by words or by feelings feel like damaged goods or not desired by other terms. They just express their own insecurities, and those insecurities are not part of you to define you, because you are a person which decides how to go around and mind around. This video is not about how to fix those things, but more about to see the patterns of unnecessary judgmental codependency, which seems too friendly as our own, beautiful thing is that when we actually start seeing them, those patterns, they somehow break down by themselves, on the spot or gradually by time, depending on person, but they do definitely break down as some nuances and nuisances like weird smudge of mud, which always seemed like necessary. Skin coloring paint. I don't have intention to create some sympathy to their actions, but in same time, when you can grasp actual idea that your parents were not even proper adults, that they were just barely being counted as underaged, some weird illusion disappears. It made a lot of sense to me when I, as a child, growing up, perceived them as proper adults. Finally, when I am adult, understood that their shortcomings and victim-blaming game came from fact that they were actually something like young adult teens. For context, for that young adult teens age, it was quite common and normal to bake some babies and to tie the knot to live together as proper family already, from early 19-20 years ages, while their own personality was not even matured close to be reasonable adult. It just was theme for everybody, and that generation people don't understand why we hypothetically younger generation don't create family at those ages, but continue to postpone family thing to early 30s and late 30s. And it just made sense that those parents, 19-20 oldies, just were almost same as 16-year-old teen, which still develops control about own emotions and perception of own identity. Yes, 16 is not same as 19-20 years oldies, but still, it means that those people did not have time for personal growth, for empathy, and other people understanding on feeling level. They were freshly cooked from university or high school to be in hurry, pushed in family stuff. While they themselves did not even grasp own desires, they were forced in a way to bottle them up and do everything for family cause. Yes, they were how they were, and it was that time's societal paradigms itself to breed as fast as possible and takes things for granted and easygoingly accepting probably unnecessary mortgage-like payments. Somehow, I have feeling that at that time by media was planted quite popular idea that good family man is a man with big house, not some small apartment. And somehow, I have feeling that estate industry was stimulated by people which were implanted by idea to buy more houses, cars, etc. and have big prosperous families as a grand value. So yeah, media itself always stimulated for more consumerism even on family level. Not saying it was or is bad, but it makes sense where that idea comes, that always everybody needed big families, houses, cars, etc. While living more frugally with some mindfulness was more realistically okay, but not approved by many. But in same time, those which decided to live more frugally or mindfully, which seemed as frugal thinking, were quite shunned by media or other close people peers. That is some kind of low-value mindset and something to do with loser title, which we could call nowadays as being unambitious, not wanting big O house, unprofessional, not wanting big O promotion and regular business trips, or even irresponsible, not wanting extra mouths to feed, or unpatriotic, not wanting to support dirty politician deeds, or just lazy, not wanting to do anything because of signs of long-term chronic depression or low-key burnout, and etc. could be mentioned as such. So in short, they had their own reasons to be young and dumb, and in same time, they weren't given necessary tools to work on their emotions, and thus it created them unintentionally projecting their own grudgeful feelings about own situation to own children, now adults. You are not related to their pickiness or other childlike gimmicks to emotionally to manipulate you, because they are just uncomfortable by their own situation. Then, if you are not at fault for anyone for just existing, then how to leverage personal comfort by interactions? It is something to which I can't really give any answer, but I can share some input that it mostly means to make so-called positive brainwash, or other in terms actually recognize that your own worth has nothing to do anything at all in any situation. And by positive brainwash, I mean to try understand why you are worthy while in same time you are considered unworthy. It is part of understanding oneself by shadow working, be it psychological or spiritual energetical work. But both give similar result that you can discern own values and needs from other people's values and needs, which were given as your own, in a way you did not really understand, where there is that unfulfillment. For my example, there was a thing that I really wanted to be able to fix my old stationary PC, without calling for someone else from sidelines. At that time, I was just a kid or kiddish teenish. Then I went to university to be programmer, because after school, you need to learn something for diploma to find dream job. I felt something about that. I could do programming studies, even if it was just gut feeling. Already I was forgotten why I liked to interact with PC. In studies I did felt really unworthy, because programming wasn't really my cup of tea. Even so, if it was logically interesting, and if I did apply to that, I did have to finish that. At those time, I kind of slightly introduced myself with shadow learning from YouTube. Not sure why, but okay. And it clicked to me that my own desires probably are just some kind of reflection of other people. There was time when I even thinked about if my desire is not something which is wanted by other people for me to want. But I just thought it as my own desire or value. Sounds livid, but my perception did improve about programming when in middle of study period, I realized that I never really wanted to be programmer in the first place. I only wanted to learn to fix my stationary computer, that I could eliminate any need to ask my always half-drunk father to call somebody to fix something on shared family stationary computer. And being programmer wasn't my dream, it was just sort of necessity. When you sort things out like at little, then you stop blaming yourself about being bad programmer or somehow lacking that programming. Does not seem so interesting that you should program even when sitting on toilet, running, eating, sleeping, etc. To become real professional programmer, which is so great to aspire to be, that it really asks to refuse your own social life to extremes. Not like I had any, but it did number on me to do anything worthy for my own interests. Well, at least this was my somehow created image of great programmer, to be aspired to become, and of course it was really exaggerated. But my young adult brain still could not decipher this pattern as one of my main stress sources that made me feel lacking. Well, it's no wonder, because I didn't really grasp those jokes about only programming and not eating to be great programmer. My mind understood jokes, but guess what again? My body didn't understood those jokes. So I did need to practice those shadow learnings, shadow works in gradual matter, because I could never grasp whole thing at one time. So I did my part of my self-realization and sort of accepting little by little. Come on, studies together with another work-like activity as energy works and shadow works. Are you serious? I can't do actual work and pretend works at same time. So I did those things little by little, how much I could care or do at those study times. Well, I could note that full recovery is only result, but those energy works, even if they are advertised as to fully heal, they are only meant to be only tools to help to keep ourselves together. Why do I say something like that? Because they never really help to solve the issue fully, but still, they are great tools to work, and know better yourself. And why I say that? Mostly because all those gurus unintentionally or intentionally planted another unworthiness feeling that in spiritual work you need to be perfect, just so perfect, that healthy body responses after long healing shadow working or spiritual healing are considered as weakness and called laziness or something which is not true. Body does get sluggish after meditations, psychology practices, spiritual works to that degree that person feels like doing nothing for prolonged times, and it is not related to laziness itself. I am glad that some energy works tarot card readers actually point this out, that body is not lazy in those processes. It is just tired from energy works, which we ironically not see, but only feel. Yes, there is needed consistency and big fat no. Spiritual light work takes time and endurance, so you can't hurry that thing by any means. Otherwise there can be notifiable recoils in body actual physical health responses or situationships. Yes. Energy healthiness are related to various situationship happenings because human body is just walking. Light energy emitter like Bluetooth or something, just different frequencies. And there works that saying what goes around that comes around. Seems a little over the roof, but term worth itself is very worn out by people and many meanings that it is kind of necessary to break down that term itself in more understandable meaning to feel more, how to say, humane, more accepting towards yourself, even if by religion or by spiritual teachings. We kind of were teached and taught to hate our guts as a normal thing to do, whereas our guts are just part of natural part in wider symbiotic ecosystem, be it spiritual or just physical. Thank you guys, you are great audience. I hope to share another video soon and continue more to bring such stuff more like some delightful treat as small. Never mind if you don't like those. Have a nice brightly day. Cheers. On after side note, if you fancy this video, you can always click like and subscribe to have more similar stories to have to listen while sipping tea or semashte. I don't know, just scene itself seemed nice. Anyways, bye for now and we will meet next time my beasties.